G'day, I'm Brett Hooker and my channel is I Love Dirt. So we're on day 5 of our Go West 2022 trip. It's a trip I'm doing with family and friends. We've got 6 vehicles here, we've got about 20 people in the group, and we're doing the 3 corners of southwest Queensland and also visiting some of the historic sites out here. We've just camped overnight at the Dig Tree, which is an important part of the Burke and Wills expedition story. This is where the return party waited for 4 months for them with their food and supplies, and definitely look the story up online, but it's one of those stories of just really narrow margins and really unfortunate endings. So Burke and Wills passed away just near here because things didn't just quite line up for them. But you can camp here now. We've just camped here overnight, just had a nice little campfire, massive skies. Everybody's just kicked back and really enjoyed life out here. Cooper Creek's really full of water, lots of bird life around, pelicans around. Just a really, really beautiful spot. We've woken up to a beautiful sunrise this morning, so really good. I'm actually right next to the face tree here, which is a carving that was made in 1898. So John Dick actually came here and carved Robert O'Hara Burke's face into the tree as a tribute to what they achieved here. And so not only can you see the Dick tree, but you can also see the face tree here. So as I said, we've just spent the night here. Today's trip, we were going to try and go to Birdsville via Walker's Crossing, but Walker's Crossing's still closed. There's been a lot of flooding here this year, so it's closed. We can't go that way. So we're actually going to head up Araburry Road, which is a road in Queensland that heads north. We're going to head up there, and about halfway we're going to cut back into South Australia on the Cordillo Downs Road, and we're going to head up to Birdsville via that. Now, Cordillo Downs Road's definitely worth doing. There's a couple of great pieces of historical building in there that you can see along the way. There's Australia's largest shearing shed. Now, this was a massive sandstone shearing shed that was running in the late 1800s at the peak of the wool industry in those days, and it's literally out here in the Sturt Stony Desert. But yeah, that's where they were shearing sheep back in those days and then sending the wool out. So you can actually go and still see that. That's available. It's on private property, but the property owners are really kind and have opened up so that the public can see that. And then you head a bit further north, and there's an old, again, sandstone outstation, which was a little building they used to build on these massive outback properties, so that when they were droving on the outer reaches of their property, they had somewhere to stay, particularly in the winter months when it gets a bit cold out in the desert. So the Caldega outstation is actually still there, and you can visit that as well. So we're going to drive through and see those on the Cordillo Downs Road today, and then the last little bit of the drive will take us into Birdsville, and tonight we're going to camp in Birdsville. So that's the plan for the day. Should be a cracker. I'll play the briefing video that I just gave to all the team. I'll play that next in the video, and then we'll get on the road for the day. Cheers. So day 5. So plan today is to get up to Birdsville. So in your notes, when you have your read your notes, I said there was like a plan B and a plan C. I'm actually combining plan B and C. So plan A was to go over Walker's Crossing out the back of Enaminka and head around that way to Birdsville via the Birdsville track. Walker's Crossing is still closed from all the flooding they've had this year. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to take Araburry Road. So we're actually going to come back out of here and turn north on Araburry Road. Now that's named after a cattle property out here. So we're going to head north on Araburry Road, head about halfway up, and then we're going to head back into South Australia, and we're going to jump onto the Cordillo Downs Road. Now Cordillo Downs is another cattle property, but over on the South Australian side. Massive property up in that top northeast corner of South Australia. Now Cordillo Downs Road, a little bit rough, but I think it's going to end up being the same as what we've had the last couple of days, so a lot of corrugations. It's known for its corrugations. We've already just found most of them, so I think it'll be about the same as what we've had over the last couple of days. But there's some cool stuff on the Cordillo Downs Road. About halfway up the road, we're actually going to come to a sandstone shearing shed that was built in the late 1800s at the peak of the wool industry of Australia, when all this backcountry was still open to paddle steamers on the Murray-Darling and all that sort of stuff. Massive sheep area up here. And so that was a huge, it was Australia's largest shearing shed back in the day. Now it's on a private property, but they've actually cordoned off the area so we can all stop in there, and actually you can walk right up inside the building and you can see the chutes and everything, and just imagine what it would have been like in the late 1800s, shearing out here in the middle of the desert. But that's what used to happen. So we're going to get to see that, and then we're going to drive a bit further north, and really close to the Queensland border, we're going to run into another ruin which is called the Caldega Outstation. And again, sandstone building that was built up in the top corner of a property that was called Caldega back in the day, and that's where the drovers would go when they were running the herds right up in that top corner. And that one is also open. You can just walk up right around the ruin. So we're going to see two, really important parts of the history of European settlement and development of land out here. Once we finish that one, we're pretty much just going to cross over the Queensland border, and then we'll head up to the Birdsville Development Road, turn left and head into Birdsville. It's only about, I think in the end, it's going to be about 300 kilometres of driving today, so not too bad. So we should get into Birdsville at a pretty reasonable time. We'll just time our morning tea lunch breaks as we need them, just whenever we get to the appropriate time, we'll stop. It might just line up with those other stops we've got anyway. So that's the plan for the day. Cool. Any questions about that? No? All good? All right, let's get on it.
The prompt of the day things. I need to see photos from the last couple of days, please, because I can't remember what everyone's showing me. Because there's awards. I need to see who's got the award from last 2 days.
So that was the drivers and team briefing that I did for day 5. And we'll just wrap it up, but I'm just leaning by the dig tree. There's a bit of controversy about which one is actually the real dig tree. Sort of goes to the heart of, the problem of why they couldn't find the supplies when they got here. But there's a tree here with a blaze on it, and there's a tree next to me with a blaze on it. The food was around here somewhere. They just had to keep digging, which is pretty hard to do after you've spent 4 months going to the Gulf and back. Anyway, we're going to get on with it. Travelling these days is a whole lot easier. We'll just use our digital and paper maps and get on with the journey. So day 5 ahead of us.